Hello, my name is Joe. I'm with Studio Kaiju Radio Control Reviews, and today, for our very first review, we're going to be looking at an RC plane, the Aigimu F22 4-channel remote control. This thing is beautiful. Full notice, the F22 marking here, that's me doing that because this is actually my second one of this. First one I actually did damage in flight. Apologize for that. So I wanted to identify the two because I plan on repairing the first one. As you can see, this thing is a little bit of a beast here. I'm going to compare to some other planes. It's not your basic run-of-the-mill, very simple 2-channel one, or even a 3-channel. This has separate maneuverable flaps. I'm going to show you right now. Using this supplied controller that comes with it. By the way, I should point out this was provided to me free of charge for review purposes, but that does not mean that I'm obligated to review it good, bad, or indifferent, just that it was supplied free of charge. And thank you to Aigimu for that. So, first thing you do is, and there's a little battery that goes in there. It's really nice. And I love this casing because you kind of have to screw this in, which makes everything work a little bit better. So you turn it on. See that lighting? Isn't that kind of cool? Yeah, so that's for flying in low light conditions. I don't necessarily recommend that. Now, as you saw, as soon as I turned it on, these flaps just went into this position right away. Now, I turn the remote on. See the light there? And I'll try to do this way. Up and down. See the changing in the flashes. Now, is it paired? Yes, it does seem to be paired. Now, here's what's really kind of neat about this. And you hear that squeaky sound? That is the the stabilizer, the gyroscope stabilizer. So, check. The flaps are independently operable, and that's what gives this bad boy its flight characteristics. Alright, we don't need to keep this on for that, so I'm going to turn that off now. It's beeping because the batteries are a little low. I have to replace them. I apologize for that. It does take 4 double A's, easy to get to. I recommend keeping the screw in there and not just throwing that away because sometimes these panels can get loose, and when that happens, even if it doesn't fall off, the batteries inside one or two might pop out, and then suddenly you won't realize that it's still flying, but you're getting less and less controllability. So, always a good idea to keep that on. The F22 is a beast, and it has 3 flight modes. It's got a vertical mode, which I've yet to try because honestly, a little bit of a chicken, but you can get it to fly up like this and just sort of hover like a quadcopter might hover. It has 6G mode, which is one I keep it in. That's what I prefer to fly in. That's very stable. And then 3D mode, which is basically all of the controllability, all of it, is based entirely on this. I like the 6G because it helps the level itself. I don't have to worry about every single aspect because when I fly, sometimes I have to look away from the plane for a little bit, or sometimes it'll go between me and the sun. Now, in the footage I'm going to put with this, it was a very drizzly day, so there was no sun to go between. Okay, the sun technically was there. You know, I want to be fair about that. The sun was there, but there were clouds because I live in western New York, and we're like Seattle. There's always clouds. So anyhow, this plane is capable of some really cool things. There's the 6G roll. Now, what the roll has done, sometimes the roll goes like this while you're flying. That's kind of cool. Then sometimes you can get it to loop. I'm not sure. I got to look into this more. How I get it to loop versus the roll. But I've seen it do both, and they're both really cool. There's a lot of trim capacity on here, and you will find video and camera markings on the remote controller. However, this thing does not natively come with its own camera. But having said that, there is this, see this panel here right behind the battery compartment? Yeah, that panel there, or actually it's right below the battery compartment. There's a slot for putting on a camera attachment. Now, I have not seen or even heard back from Aigimu yet how one obtains that camera, but one can only presume it will be available soon, and when it does, theoretically, this guy will be ready to incorporate that. And I can only imagine flying the way this thing does, you'll get some really cool, crazy cool footage with that. So, anyhow, not having a camera on the plane does not detract. In fact, to be honest, one of the reasons I think I love this plane so much is that I don't have to sit there and watch a screen. You know, radio control, what it's meant to be, is to get you away from the TV. So a lot of radio control vehicles, particularly quadcopters and so forth, are app controlled on a phone. And I don't particularly dislike that, but at the same time, I want to be outside. I want to be working with something physical out in the air. I want to see this boy flying overhead and coming in for smooth landings, which does happen sometimes, although not in the video I'm going to include with this. It came in for a landing. You could have walked away from, I imagine. But, and oh, that's another thing about this too. This is made of an EPP foam, which is becoming very common nowadays because it's extremely lightweight, but also extremely flexible. And it can take a heck of a beating. The bigger concern, honestly, will be in trying to prevent hitting things with the motors, because the motors are brushed motors. They will be a little more likely to break in that instance. I did actually, on my number 1 plane, did actually break one of the motors, and I have to replace it, so I've got replacements coming in. And the box actually does helpfully tell you what model number for the brush motor that you need to replace it with, so that you're getting the same thing. So I'll have that sometime in the next week, I imagine. It's a good plane. It flies so cool. It's so much fun. Aigimu did a really kick-ass job with this thing. I enjoy the hell out of it. You know, no video is not a problem for me. It's not a deal breaker. It's just a really cool way to do this. All right, you've been a tremendous audience. I know it's your first time watching, because this is my first video for this Studio Kaiju radio control review program. And keep watching, because we've got a lot of cool stuff coming your way. Looking at the Aigimu F22 4-channel remote control F22 RC plane. Now here's our remote. It's press up, down. Oh, you got to turn it on first. Sorry. Up, down, and you can see that it's activated. Now, whenever we're flying, you always want to test your flaps out before you take off. Make sure that everything's doing what it's supposed to do. We got a little bit of a crosswind, so let's see how this goes. All right. I have a history of hitting these phone light poles, so I want to be careful to not get too close to them, because that can actually screw with these things quite a bit. The Aigimu uses standard brushed motors, but really nice, controllable, powerful ones. So you see how accurate I can fly this thing, and how much fun it is to fly. I actually haven't taken it out on a day like this before. Whoa! I just did that. I didn't know I could do that. I don't know what I think it might be battery, I'm not sure. But you do get a lot of good battery life with this thing. Okay, well that was a pretty good flight. We'll take it inside and we'll do some talking about its characteristics.